Let me tell you a story. Not one you'll find in a history book, but one that lives in the quiet corners of wisdom tucked inside the pages of Proverbs. There once was a village nestled between two rivers where the soil was rich and the hearts of the people were tested not by battle but by bounty. In this village lived two farmers, Obadiah and Lemuel, neighbors by land but not by spirit. Now Obadiah was the kind of man whose hands never stayed full for long, not because he lacked, but because he lived with open palms at every harvest. When his corn grew high and his baskets overflowed, he'd set aside the first portion, not just for the temple, but for the widow down the lane, the boy with no father, the traveler with dust on his feet. Folks said his home was never empty because his heart never was. Lemuel, on the other hand, was careful, meticulous, watchful. He believed in saving and storing and stacking every grain and guarding every seed. Hard times are coming, he'd mutter, and I've got to think about me and mine. He locked his barn tight even from his own brother when the need was great. His fields were neat, his rows exact, and yet his land never sang like Obadiah's did. Then came the drought. The skies closed, the rivers thinned, the earth cracked beneath their feet, crops withered, wells ran dry. Fear moved through the village like a thief in the night. Lemuel's silos were full, but his soul was starving. He had enough to feed 10, yet slept with one eye open. Meanwhile, Obadiah, though he had less, opened his doors wide. He gave water to the thirsty, bread to the weak, and hope to the hopeless. And though his supply should have run out, somehow it never did. And when the rains finally came, soft and slow, like mercy returning, something wild happened. Obadiah's fields erupted. Flowers bloomed in places he'd never planted. Fruit swelled on vines he thought were dead. The land gave back more than he'd ever sown. But Lemuel, oh, poor Lemuel, he planted from his hidden stash, but the seeds had soured in the silence. His soil, untouched by kindness, yielded nothing but disappointment. And the village elders gathered and whispered the old truth aloud. There is that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. Proverbs 11:24. You see, God's economy doesn't operate like Wall Street in his kingdom. The generous don't decrease, they expand. The more you give, the more ground your life covers. You become a stream, not a swamp, a vessel, not a vault, because heaven doesn't just reward what you keep, it breathes on what you release. So the lesson? Don't clutch, don't count every coin like it's your last. Be a sower, scatter love, scatter help, scatter hope. Sow into people, sow into purpose, because the ones who hoard may have barns, but the ones who give will have legacy. Now is your moment. Look at what's in your hand, not just your money, but your time, your attention, your presence. Ask yourself, who needs what I've been saving? Don't wait for abundance to begin generosity. Start now. Give while it still stretches you. Trust the God who multiplies what you scatter. For in the kingdom of God, the world of the generous gets larger and larger, and the path of the stingy, well, it gets smaller, darker, lonelier. So live like Obadiah, scatter, and watch heaven smile.